Welcome in, everybody. I'm Reed Cowan. All right, so right off the top, we begin with new details in the deadly suspected terror attack out of New Orleans. At least 14 people killed, dozens more injured in hospitals as we speak because a man rammed his truck right through a New Year's crowd on Bourbon Street. So that suspect, let's talk about him, 42-year-old Army veteran Shamsud-Din Jabbar. He was killed in a gunfight with police while he plowed through that crowd of innocents. He apparently flew an ISIS terrorist flag on his truck. So the FBI now says Jabbar acted alone, but they do say this was no doubt an act of terrorism.
This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act. We do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack is involved in this attack except for Shamsud-Din Jabbar. As for a timeline, at this point, investigators believe Jabbar picked up the rented F-150 in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament.
So that information now takes us to the Houston home authorities believe is connected to the driver of that truck, and that's where we find CBS News correspondent Jason Allen. Jason, you hear that from the FBI. It makes you wonder why, if these posts were on social media, why nobody had their eyes on him in time to make this stop. What are they looking for in that house?
Right, and so that's what everybody is wondering, right? Was there anything before this happened that should have let someone know, authorities or someone else, that this was in the works? So we have been watching this home, this address, and it's actually not this building you see right back behind me, but you got to go through this fence to the other side. It's an even smaller trailer that's back there, and this is where the FBI and where the Harris County Sheriff's Office here in North Houston was set up throughout the afternoon and evening yesterday. They were here with heavy equipment. They were here with armored vehicles. They waited several hours until they had authority to go in. They opened a car and then they went through this trailer. And so they're looking for computers. We know that they recovered computers. We know that they recovered cell phones as well. They're going through that data and they're looking for any of these links. We talked to some people who live here on this street, including the immediate next door neighbor who is right here next to where Shamsud-Din Jabbar lived. He told us that he moved in here within the last year and a half. Seemed like a normal, quiet neighbor. Here's some of what he had to say to us just a little bit ago.
How did it make you feel to hear about what happened in New Orleans?
Very uncomfortable, very saddened. We're still in shock.
Are you worried about your safety at all?
Of course. Now, we didn't know.
Taz, you said you saw him the day before yesterday. Had you seen anybody else with him, or was he by himself?
He was by himself.
All by himself.
Was he acting strange at all, or was it like any other encounter?
Very normal, very normal.
Yeah, and so he said the last time that he had seen him here was day before yesterday. Read that as when authorities said that he left Texas to head to New Orleans. And this neighbor also told us that he did see that white truck parked out here in front before Jabbar left that day.
So there's been a lot of talk, Jason, about those IEDs, improvised explosive devices. No doubt they'll be looking for any trace of any remnant or any build materials in that home that you're close to.
Oh, no doubt they'll be looking at that, Rita. And, you know, we saw evidence of that really in the beginnings of the search in the overnight hours, right? There was a lot of precaution that the FBI and the sheriff's authorities were taking. They were staying back from the house. They were in those armored vehicles. They were approaching it first with drones. a couple of drones that they were flying above it almost constantly, only to land again and get battery and go back up again. Very, very careful about the way they approached it. However, we do know that they've now said, and I'll tell you that they moved other people out of the neighborhood as well because there was concern out of their safety.
Right.
But they have now said there's no concern for safety now. They feel like they have effectively cleared it, but they will be looking for, as you said, any evidence, trace evidence that any of those explosives were put together here.
That says everything, that they move people back from that house. Jason, always great to talk to you. We hope to see you back here on CBS News 24/7. Always great streaming with you.